Chair recognizes Ms. Neave-Criado to explain House Bill 5202.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members, you've heard the explanation of House Bill 5202. Is there objection and consideration?
Oh, sorry.
The chair hears none. The chair lays out House Bill 5202. The clerk will read the bill.
Mr. Speaker.
HB 5202.
Just a minute. We have to lay the bill out. We're not going to explain that again.
HB
The clerk will read the
5202.
bill.
By Neave-Criado, relating to a central database.
The chair recognizes Ms. Neave-Criado.
Mr.
Thank you,
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose?
Will the gentlelady yield for some questions?
Would you yield for some questions?
I do.
Yes, she does.
Thank you, Chairwoman Neave-Criado. I had a few questions about your bill. First of all, how many people experience domestic violence in their lifetimes?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right now, according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence nationally.
Wow.
And it's an issue in Texas, too. In fact, in 2021, DPS reported that there were 231,207 incidents of family violence.
And how many women were murdered by intimate partners in Texas?
There was a study done by the Texas Council on Family Violence, and in Texas, there were nearly 1,400 women, that's 1,400 women, that were murdered by their intimate partners in the last 10 years. And that's part of why the reason that we're bringing this legislation is there. And I want to, thank our chairwoman, Angie Chen Button, Chair Morgan Meyer, Representative Vicki Goodwin, Chair Anchia, for being joint authors of this legislation. This legislation is a priority piece of legislation for our Dallas Police Department, in particular for our chief, who had worked with a family who had their daughter murdered by an intimate partner. He had a history of family violence, and there was no way for her to know at the time who this individual was, who she was with, and he ended up murdering her. So the goal of this legislation is really to ensure that there is an opportunity in cases where there are serious, multiple offenses with respect to this, that it is available so that individuals know this information and don't have to essentially pay for it. DPS, the resources, they have the resources, they have the ability to do this within their existing system, and so that's why I'm very grateful that this body is supporting this legislation to make a significant impact on family violence in Texas.
I just have one more question. So are family violence offenders typically repeat offenders?
Unfortunately, yes, there's research that shows that 70% of Texas domestic violence offenders abuse their victims again, even after a warning from authorities or after a protective order issued. As I mentioned, there were 231,000. So that's what this is aimed at. This piece of legislation is those repeat multiple offenders.
Chairwoman, I know victims of family and domestic violence appreciate you, so thank you so much for your bill.
Thank you. We're grateful for all of the support and the work of our Department on Family Violence in Dallas and others across the state. So I move adoption.
The question occurs on passage to engrossment of House Bill 5202. Is there objection? Chair hears none. House Bill 5202 is passed to engrossment.